Hey there, welcome to the College Investor Audio Show. Great show we have for you today. How new federal loan limits could shape nursing programs. Very important topic. Before we get to it, just a quick reminder, anytime you hear anything we talk about on the podcast, you can always check out the article associated with it at thecollegeinvestor.com. Also, we can follow us, like us, and all the things on social media. We're pretty much anywhere you are. Search for the words The College Investor and you'll find us. We'd love to connect with you. Okay, so the Department of Education moved this week to counter a wave of online claims about how the federal government will classify nursing programs under new student loan limits taking effect next year. The guidance released in a post titled Myth versus Fact, the Definition of Professional Degrees, attempts to clarify how the term professional degree will be used under Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill Act OBBBA and why certain nursing programs are not included in the category eligible for the highest borrowing cap. The answer, the agency insists, has very little to do with whether nursing is considered professional, of course, and everything to do with how federal loan limits have ballooned over time. All right, so here's why student loan borrowing categories are changing anyway. Under the OBBA, Congress instructed the department to create student loan borrowing limits that distinguish between graduate programs and professional programs. So for nearly 2 decades, all types of grad students have been allowed to borrow up to the full cost of attendance through a combination of unsubsidized direct loans and all the Graduate Plus loans you can get. That open-ended borrowing authority helped fuel substantial tuition growth in many fields, the department argues, contributing to a federal portfolio that now totals $1.7 trillion. Ouch. The OBBA ended the Grad Plus loan program and then capped graduate direct loan borrowing with a 2-tiered cap system. There's just so much money. It's unbelievable. $200,000 lifetime cap for a limited group of professional degrees like medicine and dentistry and law. $100,000 cap for all other grad programs and doctoral programs, including advanced nursing degrees. Undergrad borrowers are largely unaffected, by the way, with the exception of Parent Plus loans facing new caps as well. So a negotiated rulemaking committee comprised of higher education stakeholders reached a consensus earlier this month on which degrees would qualify for the higher cap. That consensus is defined inside this article. We have a link to it at thecollegeinvestor.com. Okay, let's take a look at why nursing isn't listed as a professional degree. It's just semantics, really. The FAQ pushes back on one of the most viral claims that the department doesn't consider nurses to be professionals. No, the agency calls this a misunderstanding of the term. As the department frames it, professional degree is an internal category used only to determine which programs are eligible for the higher borrowing ceiling. That's it. It does not reflect a judgment on the social, clinical, or economic value of the degrees. In other words, the term is administrative, not symbolic. Fair enough. Nursing programs have wide variation in tuition, cost structure, and length. Most do not approach the price tag of a medical or dental program, which can exceed like $200K in tuition. Oh. So the FAQ also highlighted that the loan limits are limited to graduate programs and have no impact on undergrad nursing programs, including 4-year Bachelor's of Science in Nursing degrees and 2-year associate degrees in nursing. 80% of the nursing workforce doesn't have a grad degree. The department cites its own data showing that 95% of nursing students borrow below the new limits, suggesting that most nursing students in the field should have enough federal borrowing capacity, even under the lowered caps. Let's take a look at the impact on students and the nursing workforce, though. There are a lot of concerns about the nursing shortage that have circulated widely, especially in online discussions that interpreted the new structure as a financial barrier to advanced practice training. The department addresses those fears directly. According to the FAQ, the caps do not affect undergrad nursing education, including associate and bachelor's programs. Roughly 80%, which we discussed earlier, of the workforce doesn't have a grad degree, So the majority of practicing nurses will see no change whatsoever in the borrowing process. Most current graduate nursing students borrow within the new limits anyway. Still, though, nursing leaders have raised broader concerns not addressed by the FAQ. The possibility that cost pressures could influence program availability, stifle long-term workforce growth, or shift financial burdens onto employers because many advanced practice roles like nurse practitioners require grad degrees. Even a small share of students exceeding the cap could face barriers if program tuition remains high. The department, however, frames the caps as a cost control mechanism. By reducing the amount students can borrow with loans, this is a mountain of debt, by the way, the agency argues colleges will face pressure to reduce tuition for higher-priced graduate programs. Hopefully. Kind of a roll of the dice, though. Here's what this means for future students, if you're looking at nursing. So for students planning to pursue an MSN, a DNP, post-grad certificate, any of those things, the changes might alter how you finance your studies, but are unlikely to block access to federal loans altogether. So here are the immediate takeaways. Most nursing students just should remain within federal borrowing caps based on department data. Should be fine. Students in high-cost programs might need to consider a mix of federal loans, employer tuition support, which in that type of advanced degree, you should be able to get support from your employer, state aid, there are lots of programs, or even private loans if their tuition substantially exceeds the new $100K limit, to which we would say there are ways to pay without taking on loans. And we have lots of ways at thecollegeinvestor.com. You can dive in deeper. We want to help you out with this. And tuition may fluctuate in the coming years as programs adjust to capped federal lending. The other thing, the definition of professional degree might evolve once the final rule is published and public comments are reviewed. Students entering programs in fall of 26 or later should monitor announcements closely, particularly regarding financial aid changes. Okay, so let's look ahead just a little bit. The nursing shortage remains a pressing workforce challenge, faux show. The question now, though, is whether the new federal caps will rein in costs, as the department hopes, or just introduce more friction in a training pipeline that could exacerbate existing shortages. The public comment period will likely serve as a key venue for nursing associations, universities, and employers to voice their concerns or to voice their support. The final rule could look different depending on the feedback, though sadly not likely, but the core message from the department this week is simple. Contrary to viral claims, the policy is not a judgment on the nursing profession. And that is our show for today. Clear as mud, right? If you want to find out more, dive deeper, look at the links and everything else inside this article, it's at thecollegeinvestor.com. Also, type in The College Investor on any social media platform. Well, not anything, but mostly you'll find us. We'd love to connect with you and help you along. Thank you again, and we will talk to you again real soon.